were some of the trending issues that you saw in the drives where you guys weren't able to score?
Yeah, I think that was something that we really dove into yesterday. Getting in the red zone 7 times and only scoring 1 touchdown. And, we kind of, took that a little bit above the 25 for us. Just when we're down there, we gotta make people pay, and we didn't. It was some misreads. It was some small details, kind of like I mentioned on Saturday night. Stuff that I think is absolutely fixable. Small detail, big impact. One guy goes the wrong way, and they have an unblocked player at the point of attack. And so I think those things are fixable, and I'm encouraged by how our team showed up for work today, and they're dead-ass serious about getting those things fixed.
Jason?
Kind of what you just touched on, you mentioned the other day guys running the wrong way. Want to clarify, is it linemen, receivers, how do you kind of address that?
Oh, everybody. And yeah, there was, what I would say just too many missed assignments or, improper technique at the point of attack.
When you look at Noah's struggles, is there a common theme behind them?
No, I mean, I think, I think we've played good people, and when we're talking about his process and his decision-making, I think there's some things that we can fix, but I also think, to me, that's coaching. And we're the ones that have to get him in the right place with his progression and delivering the ball on time. And that's on us.
Brent, in terms of that heavy set where you go to the extra offensive line, what are you specifically seeing there up front that maybe you're not getting the push that you'd like in those situations?
Yeah, I think in one of those situations was when we had somebody go the wrong way. Otherwise, on the 4th down play, it would have been a first down. And so that has been a good thing for us this year, that formation. And so I think that's, with some of the shuffling of the deck, with some of the pieces in the offensive line that have kind of swapped out, because guys are getting dinged up or whatever, I think, making sure, trying to give us a chance to run the football effectively, out of that front when we just need to get a yard or we need to get 6 inches. We have to be able to get that. And so, moving guys around in practice and giving them, playing with some possible scenarios of substitution that we experienced Saturday night, so that we have a little bit of continuity on that. And it's hard because you don't want to be in that spot, but if someone goes down, sometimes you're moving players around.
How much maybe did that lead into the second half situation where instead of going for it on 4th and 1, you decide to take the 3 points there? Is that some of that in your mind when you've got going the wrong direction?
That wasn't. In that moment, no. In that moment, I was like, this gives us a chance to take the lead. Tyler was hitting the ball so well. I felt like it was a momentum game there, and so I was just thinking that was our best option.
Right. In general, though, having a weapon as valuable as Tyler and his ability to make from so far, do you think in any way it is impacting play calling, knowing that you already have the 3, so maybe you can take more shots? Or
No.
You're not trying to push?
No. We're trying to score touchdowns.
Jenna in the back.
I know it's early in the week still, but what's standing out to you about BYU?
They're a really good football team. I think it's an interesting situation where coming into this conference, our last 4 games have all been against really good people, right? All people that are 1 loss or better. You know what I mean? And so going on the road, another hostile environment, they're extremely physical. They're very well coached. They play hard. Like all the, to me, in some ways, like physicality-wise, they're similar to what you experience when you play Utah.
Last week, Bear announced that he was going to have to sit out the year because of injury, and Speedy sitting out for his decisions. Are there any players, anyone else that you don't expect to have back this year for whatever reason?
Right now, I don't know that. Like in terms of injury or?
Either way.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about injuries. We've covered that ad nauseum. But and whenever anybody gets injured, it's just another opportunity for someone else to play, right? Someone else to go in there and get the job done for the football team. And so, I think that's an important thing that our players are, grabbing hold of. I think we've seen some guys do a really good job of that, and I think there's going to be some other people that step into those roles and execute at a high level. And then in terms of like the redshirt stuff, I don't know yet. That depends on how the season plays out. If they're a freshman, do we get them in 4 games? If they're playing a lot, we're just going to get them in the game and let them play? Because we still have a ton of football left to play, right? So that's where,
In both of those cases, though, you would, if they want to make those announcements, that's on them, right? You wouldn't be against them publicly announcing that they are done because of an injury or something like that, but that's their choice.
yeah, I mean, I'm not into censoring young people, you know what I mean? Like, I want them to make responsible decisions online with that kind of thing, but that's the world they live in.
Jason?
Next 2 weeks are day games. As a head coach, do you prefer one over the other?
I like getting up and playing. You know, I think I prefer that. Just kind of waiting all day is hard. Although, you know, now with TV, I feel like most of our games are played at night. My last 3 stops as a coach have all been a ton of night games because of the television and being on the West Coast. So, but whenever it is, we'll be excited to play.
And then Kalani talked today about your relationship with him. I was wondering if you could kind of just tell us about that.
Yeah, Kalani and I worked together in 2015 at Oregon State, and we lived in the same neighborhood. And he's one of my favorite people on the planet. He's just an incredible human being. He's a great father, great husband, great football coach. And it was so fun because our kids would just run around the neighborhood. You know, it was 10 years ago now. So, you know, my oldest was 11. So, you know, 11, 9, and 7. And so they were just running the neighborhood, you know, our 2 families. And it was great. You know, they'd show up at their house for, you know, dinner, and then they'd send them, the whole crew would end up at our house for ice cream. It was a really fun existence. His wife, Timberly, is just an awesome person. So just fantastic people.
After watching the film and looking at how that side of the ball's performed the last couple of weeks, what can you say about the evolution of the defense?
I'm really excited with where we're at. You know, I think I thought Saturday night they did so many good things that we were so excited about. You know, and I think the cool thing about it is that everybody on the team is, you know, on that side of the ball and on our offensive side of the ball is looking at the small details that had a huge impact in that game that we could have easily fixed. And so I love where our defense is at. I think they're playing with real energy and physicality. It's really, really exciting. And I think there's a couple plays we'd all like back. And that's what happens when you don't win a football game. It happens when you do win a football game. You know, you always want plays back.
So when you were talking about after the game, you know, guys running the wrong way, or going the wrong way, is coaching, personnel? How do you just look at that at this point in the season?
I think it's both, you know, but it absolutely starts with the coaching, and it starts with me. And I have to assess, are we asking guys to do stuff they can't do? Are we asking them to carry? This is all stuff we dove into yesterday, right? Like, do we have too much scheme, right? Because our ability to execute what we're doing is based on how well we know it, right? And so, and sometimes that happens when you have a player that gets thrown in there because of an injury, and that can be a little bit tricky because he hasn't had as many reps as the first team player, right? But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Everyone's expecting you to go in there and execute.
Coach, how did you break down with Noah the interception in the end zone? It looked like he had a couple of better options underneath with Olsen and Connolly in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that's one of those situations where he just has to go through his progression and trust it. You know, obviously, we all have a ton of faith in T-Mac and his ability to play a vertical ball. And so in that situation, we just have to go through our progression and go where our eyes tell us they should go. The ball needs to go where our eyes tell us it should go.
What are your thoughts about elevation? Did it have any impact in Salt Lake, or was it negligible for you?
I think elevation is one of those things that if you let it be an excuse, it is. You know what I mean? Like, they got to play in it too. Like, it's just one of those things. And we're at a little bit of elevation here too. So like, I think for our football team, it's not as big of a factor.
Last question, Jason.
Do you think Noah's confidence has taken a hit the last few weeks?
I don't think so. I mean, I think our confidence comes from our preparation, and his preparation has been so good, right? And, you know, a week ago, you know, he throws a couple incredible balls that win us that game, you know? And so I think that's one of the dangers of the game is letting the outcome dictate how you feel about yourself and not being objective about the mistakes that we made and fixing those, right? So I think for Noah, his preparation is always extremely on point. You know, he was in here yesterday. You know, he just, he's such a competitor. He's such a great leader. And he's also one of those guys that always wants to, take accountability for not getting the job done, which is, I think, why the team loves him, why we all love him, and why we would do anything for him.
All right, that's our time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.